January 2023, divorce month, and just recently we have received a report as to the cases of divorce in the country and how much they are on the rise, perhaps burying our heads in the sand, not to accept that this is where the society is. But upon that moment where we get to a point of acceptance, then it is necessary that we have a conversation revolving around that, not to celebrate, not to say that we encourage, but to acknowledge that this is where we are at and that the cases are on the rise, and therefore this we have to discuss so that we have amicable solutions, and we do not have divorce cases that turn out to be messy. These crimes of passion that we have witnessed today, these cases where you're told, well, they separated but they still were talking, and before you know it the other person has killed the other, should be a game of the past. These cases that are being blamed on mental health should be a game of the past. And so getting us to have this conversation is Jenny Wachira, a divorce recovery coach and counseling psychologist. An interesting one for that matter. Perhaps we want to understand why she gets into this space and why she termed it necessary to have these conversations with those ones that have divorced, or those ones that are in marriage as well, just to make sure that they're able to balance the situation in there. They say it is hot, while family is a space where it should be a safe space, should be joy and all that. It's equally hot there because you're always a candidate for divorce in whatever capacity. Reverend George as well, the Minister of God Mercy Family Chapel International, is with us this morning for this very, very important conversation. What triggers this conversation this morning is not the fact that it is divorce month, but generally the report that is out here. And we said these numbers actually, shot up during the time of COVID-19, because it's when now you have to stay with family at home, and then you realize the ills that you do not like about your partner, and at this very moment there is ample time to fight, if I may call it. And then people could not just hold it anymore. Karibu sana.
Asante. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So yes, the cases are on the rise, and that is what the report dictates, not just in the country, but across the global fraternity. Is it time that we have these conversations and bold enough?
Okay, thank you so much. Even for the thought of having this discussion. I know I was shocked the other day to see...
briefly, I'm told we have to fix your microphone. Let's start with you, Reverend.
Okay, thank you very much, leader. My name is George Mogawashege, and I come from God Mercy Family Chapel International. Divorce cases, they are all over. And there are various reasons. I want to start, because I'm a preacher, I want to start from the biblical point of view. One time it was allowed by a man called Moses. And later on, many years after that, Jesus came up and was asking, the guys was asking, is it okay for a person to divorce? I'm now in Matthew 19, around 3 to 12 there. Is it okay for a man to divorce? And these guys were basing it on the fact that Moses had allowed them to divorce. And Jesus is telling them, okay, why did Moses allow you to divorce? And the clear point is, it is because of your hard-headedness. You could not understand. Remember, Moses was dealing with around so many people, and they were intense. So the divorces were all over. And that's why Moses was allowing these people to prevent them from killing each other, to help them so that they don't kill each other. And he allowed them. And Jesus was telling them, it was never the original plan of God. So I want to start from that point, that yes, it is allowed in the Bible by Moses, but Jesus comes and corrects it later on and says it was never the original purpose of God.
But that does not change the fact that we still have individuals that are hard-headed. It does not change the fact that we still have the same faces, in the world, similar to those ones that were there during the times of Moses, during the times of Jesus. And so in as much as, there's that acknowledgement that Moses allows for this, but Jesus then discourages it. We are here, and sometimes we have to acknowledge that yes, we are Christians, but equally there are people who subscribe to other ideologies, who subscribe to other denominations, and theirs is a different story or script altogether.
That's very true. And that's why we want to discuss it in a deeper way, especially now, because it is taking place now. And from this point then, because we are not only Christians in Kenya, or there are many people, are there reasons that we can base, like it was then, and say, yes, there are reasons that we can say, okay, one can divorce a partner. I want to start from, again, the point of, how did this relationship start? Did it start the correct way? Because if it started the wrong way, chances are it will come to end. Number two, do you have a better charity? My wife is charity. Do I have a better charity somewhere else? So that I know, and I have compared and confirmed, when I leave my charity, then I'll be able to get a better one.
Yeah.
If yes, then I go for it. But if no, then we better stick.
Jenny, is there always a better one anywhere out there? Okay.
Maybe just to start from the beginning, as before I got interrupted. Yeah, but just getting it, the divorce crisis on the headlines, it shows is something that warrants discussion, a serious discussion, because we have now the reality on the ground, and that's where I am at, you know, reality on the ground, what is happening about the rise of divorce, and what are the causes, and how do we have to come in. And I'm happy we have a reverend here, because now this is where now we really need to come in, you know, as a person, as a society, as a church, as individual, to see how we are going to correct this, because now it's becoming a national crisis, if I may call it, a family crisis that warrants this kind of conversation. So I'm really glad that you've brought it on board.
And sometimes counselors will want to run away from that, in the sense that, you know, they do not want to appear as though they are encouraging this. Why this very title? Why do you pick this angle?
Okay, for the divorce recovery coach?
Yes.
Okay, one of the reasons, if I may say, is because I am a victim, and so I talk even from a point of understanding and experience, through experience of what actually is on the ground, and through that the need for support. And that's why initially you said, why even am I comfortable just to talk about it? It's just the need of empowering people and creating that awareness that this is real, and if you do not come early enough just to protect, or rather you know, come with ways of just making this not happen or rise, then we are all going to sink, you know, in that.
All right. So at this point, Reverend,
yes,
should we be talking of how we can stop the cases of divorces, or maybe advance a bit and talk to those ones that have been, you know, are victims, to those ones that have divorced, to the fact that we are alive to this, and therefore it's a problem that needs to be addressed. And if Jenny would tell you, would be honest with you, is that it's never easy at this very point, because then you've picked your charity and you think this one is the person I'll stay with for the rest of time. Then you sire, you get kids and all that, but somewhere along the line things are just not working, and therefore you have to part ways. So the reality on ground is that, should we focus on making sure that we protect these families, or maybe just accept that, I mean, if the kitchen is too hot, step out, then find a way of dealing with it?
A very good question, Lida. Should we be focusing on making it better divorces, or should we be discussing on how to stop them completely?
Or better marriages.
Better marriages.
Okay.
And I want to go there. You know, if, like, for example, a weird example, so many houses are collapsing, should we be discussing the way to bring them down very fast, or how to deal with the foundation? And I think we should be dealing with the foundation. Because nowadays, you know, I tell you that I'm in church. Sometimes people come for discussions, and when they come, somebody tells you, my wife is doing this, my husband is doing this, I am going to leave her. And I ask them, what next? Okay, it's okay, you're going to step out. What next? How did you start it? Did you start it in the wrong footing? And if you started it in the wrong footing, chances are it will not end well. But if we organize a way, like, for example, you know, there was something called courtship in the old days. I don't know, you'll go for 2 years with a person, you understand the person, you know whether they can do with you or not, and then you start it off.
But was that necessary? Because they say, again, once you get into it, you realize that every time is a learning day. You can never get to understand your charity 100% years down.
Leader, let me tell you something. It was very necessary.
Okay.
Because when we stay with you, you know, time does not cheat. Time will tell the truth. If I stay with you, leader, for 1 year, I have known you now for about 2 years or 3 years, and I really know you. If I stay with you, the same place, for example, you're visiting me, I'm visiting you, I will know, oh, leader does not like this, she doesn't like this, isn't it? So I'll be prepared. And let me tell you something. Whether I married Charity or not, and this is a fact, I always meet beautiful girls. But I made a decision that I'll stick to this one until, the Bible says, or the Quran says, until death do us part.
Is it that those ones that divorce do not make a deliberate decision to keep these ones until, death does them part? Because if you can be deliberate to say that, well, there are very beautiful women out there and it goes beyond beauty, it is compromise and everything, and you keep this marriage, is it to say that those ones that have not done that are not deliberate?
If I may say this, Linda, no one gets into marriage with an intention of one day getting out.
Yeah.
And for that point, when you get somebody, if you see somebody out of their marriage, it's not that they just woke up one day and decided to step out of their marriage. It's something they have been deliberate on, working on their marriage, trying, giving it another chance, and maybe getting to a point when you see now it's becoming toxic, or it's even harming you as a person or the other person, and getting to now being unhealthy relationship, whereby as you mentioned, other than getting into the crime of passion and getting into domestic violence and all that, is that time that you opt out as you think of the way out. And that's not to say that divorce is the easier way out. This is to tell even listeners, if you are able to keep your marriage, the better, because divorce is painful. Divorce is expensive. It costs a lot. So if you are able to work on your marriage, the better. And I love what Reverend started with, because even just learning from mistakes, from experiences, and even from the people that I work with in my line of ministry, there's a lot that people get in with the wrong foundation. You don't really get to understand, why am I getting to this marriage? What are my reasons? You get in for all the wrong reasons. Maybe you looked at the person, how they are, maybe their income, maybe what they have. And once you are in marriage and these things get to fade away, of course you'll have the reasons of not having to be in the marriage again, So you need to be very, very clear. And this is where I say we need preparedness before you get into the marriage.
Would you have done it different if given a chance?
Yes.
You would have done it different.
Yes.
And so when you get into this ministry of yours, or this space of yours, is it a ministry that helps you get away, and not really get away, heal from the difficulties that come along with that, or then it instills more of regret? Because then you get to listen, you say, perhaps I should have done things different, perhaps I should have tried my level best to keep it more, maybe I should make that one phone call and revive this, maybe things will never be the same. Is it a ministry of more of regret, or a ministry of saying that now this is better divorce?
No, it's a healing ministry. What we say, you accept it has happened. Getting now people from this other end, you say now they are already divorced. Okay, we try to encourage those who are in marriage, stay in marriage. But once you are out, there's help and support for you, because you need to heal, you need to get up, you need again to get to your feet again. So what we do is just taking you through the healing. Of course, through, again, lessons where you went wrong, what you did wrong, and what, when given a chance again, you can do better. So what we say, even just getting you off the guilt, because you did what you did at that time, you are at your best, yeah? Getting to this other end, you don't need to regret, but you need to learn from the mistakes that you did. And if given another chance, would you make it better?
And I've heard people say that divorce is as good as death, because now this person you had, the next time you don't have them, and maybe you're not going to be in conversation, you're not going to be in contact and all that. Can the healing really be in totality?
Let me say this. I want to start a bit. I like what Jenny has just said. You look at this. Let's go back to 8 years. African traditional society. There was nothing like divorce. Once I brought a girl in the family, then that girl belonged to the family, the clan. And if I felt at one point I don't need this girl, then the society was instructing me, in your lad, take a space at that corner, build for her space, and let her live there. So there was separation. We would separate. The children would know daddy lives there and mommy lives there. And that was okay.
How is that okay? Wait a minute.
Come-
How is that okay? We all understand what the purpose of marriage.
Le-
And it's beyond just getting a piece of land somewhere and a structure is set up for you.
Yes.
It is beyond what it is that you're saying, Reverend.
Let me come up clear on this. I'm talking of separation. Why am I saying it's better than divorce?
Okay.
Total divorce is where you are out, you get married to another person, the children are confused, they don't know which dad to obey and which one not to obey. Why I'm saying it's better that way? Because this man is still taking the responsibilities of the children. They are still in the compound. They still know this is our father. The lady has decided, okay, we cannot continue together. We have already sired some children and we have to take care of them. So when you are there, and this will discourage, because number one, if there are things that I owned, I know if I bring the first lady, like nowadays, I can say, us men have really failed. I'm not talking of the ladies, because men, we have really failed. We are very weak in this. Because today we want to take a girl and ruin her reputation. The next minute, because I'm not getting pregnant, the girl goes away with a child. Then I get another girl, I make her pregnant. Then she goes like that. So I have around 10. Suppose all of them come and each one I bring leader, she's told she must stay here. I bring Jane, she must stay here. I bring Charity, she must stay. The next minute I'll think twice. I'll be very careful because this is going to be too much on me. So I would not want to advocate for that divorce. The worst coming to the worst. Because again, you cannot continue covering yourself with a person who can kill you. You can't continue in the same room and the person is threatening to kill. You cannot continue like that. I would say jump out of it, but don't go completely.
All right. What do you think is the main reason why these cases are on the rise? And you know, the difficulties that come with them, we will look into even deeper. But just why is it that we have these cases on the rise? Why is it that people are not able to keep their homes and not able to keep their marriages? Is it that out here it's so flexible, and like what Reverend says, that even without having a structure set there for you, there's that aspect of co-parenting, and so this man will just see their kids, this man will have a chance to, you know, contribute into the life of their kids, and therefore they're comfortable.
I like what the question you're asking, and maybe even compared to the older days, maybe our parents' times, and compared to now, the way divorce is on the rise. Maybe one thing I can connect to that is about people have been made more aware. They've been enlightened. They've been empowered. So you get to understand you do not have to endure, you know, if it's a marriage, you just do not have to be there for the name of being a wife or a husband. It has to work, you know. So, and once you get there and you find maybe things are not working or your expectations are not met. And this is something else when you get even, you have an expectation and maybe your spouse does not know your expectation. So once you are in the marriage, the first year, second, third, and you get that your expectation is not met, you get again enough reason of that now starting doing what? Not really working or getting interested in your marriage. So there are factors in that actually you need right from the beginning, as he said, just to do your survey well, to really prepare well before even you get into that. Because now once you get now, we have the social media, we have forums where they teach about, you know, good marriages, you know, and once now you get there and you do not get what maybe you are taught, you know, you'll definitely feel like you're getting a raw deal. Then we have just the options that have been given. Nowadays it has become so easy even to file for divorce. It's not like long ago you just used to hear of the figure of filing for divorce. You are like, I would rather stay. But nowadays it has been made so easy. You file for a divorce, it's affordable, it takes a shorter time. So there are options that you can go for. And even as you said, like the men, you are like, if it doesn't work with you, I have I can get somebody else, but only to find maybe that is what you tell yourself at that moment. But getting to find even person A and B, they are similar, or just something. You get the person who is totally more even difficult from the first person that you had. Yeah. So those are all factors that we can say are contributing to this. So you actually need to be in a place, readiness for that marriage. And both, one thing I believe in teamwork, by the way, because you have to have the same interest and the same goal. Where are we going with this marriage? Where are we going with this relationship? Because if we have different goals, then we lack teamwork. Of course, we'll be working towards different direction. I'll be pulling on my side, they pull on their side. Of course, that brings what? Conflict. And you have all the reasons of
divorcing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Allow me, leader.
Reverend, I'll allow you after this short.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
Reverend George and Jenny Wachira, as we discuss, divorce for that matter, and Reverend, I know that yours largely is a call to make sure that people keep this marriage.
Sure.
But let's just get into that space of divorce and speak to these ones that, are contemplating divorce. These ones that are dying in there in silence because they really do not want to divorce. These ones that have already divorced and they do not know what way forward. These ones that have divorced and perhaps would want to get into other marriages, but they do not know where to start. Others have even gotten into others. They don't know how to keep the very same ones that they have gotten. And all this hula baloo that revolves around that space of divorce.
Before we went on break, I wanted to say this. Like Jenny has said, the government or the society has made it very easy. It was not so in the 80s. In the African Traditional Society, it was not easy to divorce a lady. So before you engage, you will given the clear details of what you are getting into. Jenny, sometimes, I am allowed by the government to officiate weddings. And when I'm doing that, before I do it, I tell you the truth, I make this girl and this young man realize what they are getting into. Jenny, what it means when you say, until death do us part, it means one of you will hold some soil for the other when they are separating. So I clearly tell you, katika Kiswahili tunasema ni pingu za maisha.
Lakini unajua tumezisukuma mpaka sehemu ambapo unasema basi until death do us part. If you can't have you, nobody else can have you. So let's quicken these steps of getting someone death. And I mean, that's why we're having these crimes of passions. That is why you get to hear reports that, well, we were seated somewhere, tunaongea, before you know it, then gari kaingia ndani ya maji. And then stories later on is that, they had an altercation and perhaps one of them decided, let's drive ourselves to death. And so that as well is until death do, does us part.
Because it has done it.
Yes.
But this is accelerated one. What I would say, let it be made a bit difficult. Not by even the government, by even the society. Let my mother, my mother tells me, sometimes when you're discussing, we have fun, and sometimes I tell her, I tell my wife now jokingly, nitakurudisha kwenu. And mom says, urudisha nani?
Ni wangu huyo.
Huyu ndiye najua. Even if you're talking joking, that is the way it should be. It should be tight. Because let me tell you, out there, when you divorce, it's going to be very difficult. You would think that you have somebody better. You'll get somebody who was divorced because of other reasons, who was not married for quite a long. For example, if I divorce now, I am 40. Definitely, I'll get somebody who is around there. This is a person who has gone through other issues. And there is a reason why they went up to where they are. So the point is, and I want to say this, in the beginning, God. Let the marriages start from that point. If it can start from that point, if you can fast and pray before you get engaged, then chances are 99% that it will succeed. But it's a quickie one. You've gotten this man, he looks handsome, he's able to do this, he's driving a good vehicle, then you get into, very soon, you'll be contemplating to have a divorce.
And we all have different scripts. There are instances where you get into that quickie one and it works.
Yeah.
There are instances where you get into this space, it does not work. And it all started on a very good note. And so most of the people will tell you, I don't know what happened. He was really good or she was really good, but this and this and that and everything. It is fine. Whichever way, we are now in this space. And I know the cases are real. And you say very many people have enrolled to this program. It's because there's a dire problem. So walking them through this journey, looking at the businesses that they have set up as family, looking at the investments emotionally, you know, in terms of, you know, economically, finances and all that, looking at the children that are involved, whether they're there or not, looking at the extended family. Like he says, you know, once you're in that space, you are a wife to that community, you're a wife to that home, and therefore you cannot just decide to cut this without considering the feelings of these other people. Just how is this walking through like?
There's something I wouldn't want to miss commenting what he had said about the clan and the family, which now in the current report and feedback we get, allowing the external factor, especially the in-laws, into your marriage has been among the causes of divorce. Yeah, so I wanted to comment on that because sometimes we allow families, we allow maybe the in-laws or even those close people to be part of our marriage, which now in that case, they're the ones who cause, especially, you know, now about in-laws, you know, there's my son, there's my daughter, everybody is pulling towards their side, not really helping with what the problem is. So getting back to your question again, as you said, divorce is death. And what we say, it's more painful than the actual death because the other party, they are alive. So it's not easy for you to bring this to closure. And again, you have children. So this is a constant reminder that the other person exists or the other person is somewhere else. And even to make it more worse, maybe when you get children who look like the person who you do not want to see or who you have separated or divorced. So during this journey, it has not been easy for these people because it's like death. You know, you have, as you said, you have invested your emotions in this marriage. You have invested properties in this marriage. You have children who now you get them to a point of choosing who to be with. Is it my mother? Is it my father? Who to love more than the other? So you put them in a battlefield where exactly they do not deserve to have that. So working with these people, and actually what we offer is care. You know, like we do not, as we said, like you are amplifying or celebrating divorce. But these people, they are human who need support, who need care. So just walking them through this journey, getting them to heal, because as I said, it's so painful. There's a lot you lose, you know, having married to a person for a number of years and then just one day they are not in your life is not easy. You need to grieve over that. You need to go through the grief cycle actually, because it's a loss you have lost. So it's not easy. Sometimes I wonder the way people, maybe when you're in marriage, they say you really look forward to getting out. And when you're out there, I'm telling you, it's not easy, you know, it's really painful. You wish you could have worked on your marriage because just having to deal with societal expectation, judgment, you know, being isolation, because now people don't get to understand you, why you're behaving the way you're behaving and all that. So it's a path that is very lonely, by the way, a path that is very lonely. It needs support. So it's just to say, even however much we want to keep the marriage, and that is one factor because it's God's idea. But as you said, we don't have to bury our heads in the sand. This is happening. So how do we deal with it? As a church, are we preparing our people well for marriages? You know, not getting into marriage with the wrong perception. Are we preparing them well? Because that's where we need to start from. Even with the government, they have to pick it up because it getting to the headlines, divorce crisis, it calls for attention even of the government. What do we do to salvage marriages, you know? And even just allowing people getting marriage even in the right age, because there are times when you haven't developed to understand what exactly marriage is. You get inside there and whatever you are expecting is not what you get in there. So all this, it calls for all of us to work together, you know.
Right.
But when it doesn't work, we don't say that stay there, vumilia. No, there's a way out so that you work also on yourself, because that is more important.
And the church is known to tell people to vumilia a lot, and we're not here to criminalize the church. And in the event that they have not, vumiliated to that level, then they decide that we're going to divorce. I have seen people move in churches because they fear the criticism. They fear the eyes that the leaders are going to look them with, you know. They have instantly been told, or there are instances where people have been told, you know what, now you cannot be an elder in church because you have divorced. There are instances where they have been told, no, now this and that and everything. What is the church doing to help persons that have divorced?
Leader, I want to say this. It's true what you're saying. The church has been into vumilia. But that's not real. It should not be like that. Because I started with talking about what Moses did. Moses looked at them. Moses was a man who was sent by God. He knew what was happening, and he knew God's rules. And he tells them, okay, according to the way you are living in tents, you're fighting all over, you're killing each other. Okay, now if you feel you're not comfortable, divorce, but make sure you give the person a certificate, a divorce certificate. Because he had seen something which had changed. The church should grow up to the times. Because there comes this lady who is telling me, my husband is sleeping with a knife. He's telling me, I dare come in that house, he's going to stab me. The right thing is to tell the lady to move out of it. It's not about life and death there. You don't have to wait until you are killed there. So I also want to talk to the pastors that sometimes there are things which have changed in the church this time, and we need to adjust accordingly and see which is the best way. Because we'll also consult God. We'll also talk to God and ask what is the right thing to do. Because again, it doesn't mean, God tells us, come to me the way you are. If you are divorced, like for example, if I became a pastor when I'm divorced, does it mean I'm not the right pastor? If I became a mchungaji or somebody else in the church or an usher by the time I was divorced, does it mean that God will not accept me? God will accept me. In fact, God is telling me, come to me the way you are. The way you are means, even if you are divorced, come to me. I'll deal with you the way you are. Are we there? So the church, the priests, the mosque, whatever, they should adjust to the times and know this is the way to go. This is the way to support these people, because again, we cannot wait and see our people being killed in the houses. Number two, as you contemplate on divorcing this lady or this man, then think about the consequences. I like what Jenny is talking about. She's already dealing with the people who are already divorced and is telling you, it's not easy. You go to a place where you think it's going to be better. But if you've been told already, and I like what lady you're doing, divorce crisis. Because you are sensitizing the people. You are letting the people know, okay, you contemplating on going. I know there are so many ladies who have written to me because I do the same. I talk to them. And they have written to me, I'll really listen. I'd want to hear what you have to say. My husband has been drinking. My husband has been going with other ladies outside there. But some of them have really decided, okay, and she's mine in the house. And that is the way it is. This lady,
that's a good thing, but yes.
Yes.
Bora atarudi nyumbani.
Atarudi nyumbani. Bora tu kwangu atakuja jioni, nyinyi endelee na yeye. And this man realizes himself after some times. They look at the lady, they say, oh, aki nimefanyia bibi yangu mambo na
you always get to that point, as
men. We get to that point.
Yeah.
We get to it. You look at the way you've been doing to your wife. Unakuja ukuwa mlevi, sijui unamchapa nini. Alafu baadaye unaona amevumilia. Watoto wameanza kuja, Daddy, why are you beating that, mom? And then you start thinking, what am I doing? But if this lady had gotten another child, it becomes even more complicated.
You see, it's not always that people are lucky to get to that space of realizing that, oh, okay, this is making my family vulnerable. I am hurting them. I am bound to bring them diseases and all that. Not very many families are lucky to get to that point. But still, again, on the question of divorce, fine. You realize that, well, this cannot work anymore. then you get to that space where now you have to discover yourself, rediscover, think of what you want in the future. It's not easy out. And the fear is so much, creep deep inside you. How do you speak to these ones to deal with the aspect of fear that one would not even want to get into another marriage? Or if they are getting into another marriage, they compromise on so much. Then you start hearing, because I have 2 kids, then I think there's no man who can love me with these 2 kids unless it's a man who's somebody else's husband. And now you have to find yourself into that space that, okay, well, maybe I'm Tumba lady. I mean, no one will like me. And so whatever it is that comes your way, you say it's fine, well and good. So getting to a space where they will acknowledge and appreciate themselves in as much as they are divorced, and as well overcome that fear. What's the process like?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's why we take them through a healing journey, and we call it a journey because it's not a 1 day or a 2 days process. And even being in that space of healing is a time off, because I like what Reverend had said. You cannot jump from one relationship to another, from one marriage you jump to another. You need that place of getting to reflection and having an introspection of exactly what happened in my marriage. That's why we offer this space of healing. So that you get to rediscover yourself. You get to reflect on the marriage. What happened? What part did I play? Because we say we are not perfect, and it takes 2 to tango. There's what he did and there's what I did. So you need to come into that realization, and you need a very sober mind. So this platform gives you that soberness. So you are reasoning from a point of not emotions, from a point of that you're really gotten yourself back. You can actually reason without being angry, without being emotional about the other person. And this space also helps you to get yourself back. Because sometimes even when you get married, you tend to really define yourself by that other person. So you even lose who you are. You lose yourself. So you need to get to this place and get to understand who am I? Because that will make you, because if you don't understand yourself, you don't expect the other person to understand you. You need to get that point of who I am, what actually am I for, even in this marriage, what is my purpose? Because once you lose that, meaning you'll not be living your purpose, you'll be living somebody else. And that is why now even you're toxic in that marriage, because you have left your purpose, you are living somebody else's purpose. So this space gives you a place of just getting yourself back, even learning your mistakes. Because as he was saying, it's not easy even getting to know the consequences of your action, because leaving the marriage has also consequences, which now you need to be prepared for. Am I ready for this? To be out there, to be a single mother, to be out here, to have the co-parenting plan, which is not easy, that you need to actually get to that place of have a communication with the person that you do not like or you don't want to see, and even have those arrangements. So when am I having the children, and when are you having the children? And even getting to that point when now you have to involve the court, that they have to make a decision who stays with the children, and then you have to be made also to support the children. You have properties which have to be it has to be split. Can you imagine all these consequences? So get to a place, what we say, even when you get out of your marriage, get to this space of not being in a hurry, even of being in relationship with anybody. Get that time to reflect, to learn, even from the mistakes you did, because you don't want to make things better. And in this space, you get the other people who get to realize their mistakes. They go back to their spouses. They just get to relate very well with their spouses. I realized we cannot be together, so it's okay. I release you, and we can now just be civil. We can talk as friends. We can raise our children. And even getting to this other space feeling, there's also the other aspect you choose, getting remarried. How are you going to handle the blended family? As you were saying, now you are getting to another complicated setup. You having to have children who are not your own, and you need to take care of them. Getting another person who has gone through their own issues again, getting to understand them. So before even, once you are there in that space of healing, there are all these things to think
about,
and just to think about, and really make make a decision, am I ready for this? So that usipatwe na, you just get into a shock realizing, God, I didn't know what I was getting into. Yeah.
And we tend to forget the children a lot.
In fact, Jenny, I like what she's talking about. I wish there was a situation whereby she's dealing with after divorce. I'm dealing with before divorce. I wish there was a people or a group of people who were dealing with, I'm thinking of divorcing. Because if there were people who are in that group and they are talking to people who are thinking of divorcing, which I think we are now at this point. We are telling them before divorce, this is the way it is. After divorce, it's going to be this way. Then we are telling them, because I know there are people who are watching us and they are thinking, do I leave this man? Do I leave him out? Or what do I do? And I know those people who are thinking about that so that they can understand, so that we can be in a position to tell them, okay, where you are, this is the way it is. There is a man who is a drunkard, who is coming into a house and supporting you in this and this, but he's not supporting you in this and this. When you leave him, or when you leave this lady, on the other end, this is what you expect. Every other married lady would not want you in the yachama. Why? They will think that you will take the husbands. Are we there? At times you will need a man, because it is said two are better than one. You will keep looking for a man and you not get, or you look for a lady and you not get. What will you do? These children at one time, this person is being prepared. Okay, George, you want to divorce. Okay, this is what you expect on this end. And sometimes when I'm told what I expect on that side, I can think twice. I can say, okay, that is the way it's on the other side. I better know how to change this. And I told you, with the time, everything changes. Somebody that you hated, somebody that you didn't love, with the time you will find that, oh, so I can do this. And I want to tell you this, and especially those people who are going through difficult marriages, several other people are doing the same. Don't think you are the only one.
Yeah.
You can discuss, and other people went through similar things and they were solved in a certain way. It's only that you have not been exposed enough. Because there were guys who were drinking. And you talk to ladies, they will tell you, this is what I did. A story is told of a man who used to drink so much. And this lady decided to go and talk to a mortuary attendant. He went and akapata mwanaume wake akiwa mlevi kabisa. He picked him and told the mortuary attendant, take this man in. And he was taken in. In the mortuary. He was kept there. A drunkard. Then at night, he woke up and found himself, oh, what am I doing here? And he started shouting. And the mortuary attendant came and told him, don't pretend. I know how you pretend, you dead people. I will knock you down. And this man was trying to say he was not dead. He was made to stay there for 2 days. And after he stayed there for 2 days, on Sunday, when he was released, he said, now I'm going to allow you an opportunity to go. But make sure you go and say bye, then you come back for postmortem. We finish with you because we know you are dead. You're not yourself. The man went and checked himself on TV. He confirmed himself. Then after confirming, he took the Bible and was running to church. Then the wife told him, come back. The man has never told the people what happened, all of the scenario he went through. He's no longer drinking. That's the story that is told. There are ladies who have been told what to do. Others have been told, we cause some of these things. A lady was told, and this is a true story, was told, go and take some salt with water and sand in it, put it in your mouth. And when this man comes, just don't talk. He'll tell you, give me water, give them water. Don't swallow and don't pour the water. Just maintain it. The man was surprised to see, oh, today I came and my wife is not telling me to go back where I came from. My wife is telling, you are with your wives, you are with your ladies. He's not telling me that. The man realized, oh, there is a change. What happened to my wife? Within a short time, the relationship was good once again. So the lady realized, Kube, I am the cause. It is my mouth. Linda, I want to tell you something. Sometimes us men come from out there with challenges. And when we are alive in the house, the way we are received matters a lot. Sometimes you are asked, umetoka kwa maraya wako? Sometimes you ask for food. Uliacha pesa. Those are things that make you feel bad.
But also as men, maybe you need to get to a space where you have this conversation. Like you say, initially it was for you to provide security, provision, and but nowadays it's a whole different affair. And therefore, when you come ask for food, where do you expect that food to come from if you've
And you're still asking me that?
I am asking you
Seriously?
that. All right, now, because we're totally out of time, yeah?
Yes.
There's this crop of those ones really that are in and they are not. You have divorced, it's like you've not. You have divorced, but there are strings attached. You have divorced, but once in a while you meet and the pleasures of life and you enjoy. You have divorced, but you have not signed the papers. You are just there. Some will say that this is a total danger. Some will say that maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself back, into your marriage. Can you speak to these ones as we close?
For one thing I would want to say, and this is a very bad place to be at, in the survival mode. You better be in a place where the marriage is working. And you have to do your part, and the other person has to do their part, because it's just not one-sided. Yeah. And again, even to answer you, you need to get to a place, because now once you are just there, you are not in, you are not out, that's not healthy to you, that's not healthy to the other person. You can have some time off just as you make a decision, or rather you reflect on what has happened, but don't make it too long, because you need to live your life, and you need to live your life well. So just time to reflect, but not be too long on the edges. You are on the crossroad. You are not in, you are not out. You are just there, because you are wasting your time. You are wasting the other person's time. So it's good just to have some time off, but not long time, just to reflect. Is there anything I can repair? Is it anything I can give them a chance again? If now you weigh your option, and maybe you had given more other chances, and you feel it's time for me to call it quits, then go towards, divorcing, so that again you don't stay at that place, because we'll find people that I deal with people taken 50 years in their marriage, and now you need to be out, and then out you take so long again. So meaning, if you put the total number of years that you've wasted, is really a lot, because you need also to live your life as a person. There's also your life besides the marriage. You as a person, you need to live a purposeful life.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're closing. 30 seconds. 30
Leader,
seconds.
I want to say this.
Yeah.
I want to talk to this lady or this man who is contemplating divorce. And I want to tell you this. As a pastor, as a reverend, there's something which can be done. Before you make that move, I want to clearly tell you that there's something you can do. Jenny, myself, that's Reverend George Mogawashege, and I'll give you my number. That is 0721 480 725. 0721480725. We've met so many people who've been thinking about moving out. We've talked to them. It has worked. It can work. As Jenny is telling you, out there, it's gonna be worse. You better try, and let's try first.
Wow.
If it works, the better for us. If it doesn't work, we will still talk and see the best way forward.
Jenny,
may God bless you.
Thank you.
Maybe I can say something. For people who are going through divorce, there is help for you. There is support out here. I run a foundation called SADREF Africa, where we offer healing programs and support for people who are going through the pain of separation and divorce. And this to tell you, you still need to heal as a human being. You still need to extend grace to other people and relate well with other people. So you still need to find yourself before even you find your marriage. Yes, so we help you find yourself first.
Where do they get you as we close?
Okay, I can give my number, 0722 285 233, and also we have a website, www.sadref.com, and also Facebook page under the same name, SADREF Africa, and also Jenny Wachira.